Hey, what's up, Climber Nation? Patrick here. So I have been meaning to do a series on Throwline for a really long time. It occurred to me a while ago that there are like so many situations, both in climbing and rigging, that are just made infinitely easier when you have the ability to set a line in a tree using Throwline. You know what I mean? Now I know that there are all kinds of mechanical things that you can use, like the big shot, and there's air powered throwers and like potato gun shooter things. There's all kinds of stuff like that, and those are awesome. The gadgets are amazing. But for me, it's very, very important in my mind that you're able, at the end of the day, that you can set a line with Throwline without using a fancy gadget. It's very important to me anyway that you can throw it a line by hand. So I just wanted to I wanted to start with the basic technique of throwing a throw ball by hand. So there are two main techniques, and then there's other techniques as well. But I'm going to start with the first two basic techniques. The first one is what I call like the two-handed granny style throw, right? So you're doing a pendulum like this between your legs. And this is the way that I originally learned how to throw ball, so this is the way that I still do it. I prefer it this way. I love that it's in the center of my body, so I can like square myself up to my target, and I don't know, I have better results with that. So for the two-handed granny style throw, what you do is you take a bite of the line and you put it through the ring like this, and you pull it through. So now on the one side I have a bite, and then on the other side I'm holding just the line itself. So that's the setup. And then for me, I like to have like as long of a pendulum as possible, and I'm just swinging it back and forth in a way that keeps the slack out of it, right? So it's not just swinging it back and forth. Like there's a technique to it, right? So you got to practice that there's no slack at any point in that pendulum. Okay, so that's the two-handed granny style throw, as I call it. The other main really popular technique is the one-handed throw. And tons of people prefer the one-handed throw. So it looks like this. So it's the exact same pendulum motion. The difference here is it's off to the side. It's not in the center of your body. But like I say, like tons of people prefer this. So there's different ways of that people do this. A lot of people will tie like a slip knot in the rope, in the line, and then they'll have something that they can grip. It gives you something to grip onto. A lot of people will just, instead of that, they'll just pinch it, with their fingers like this. Some people will like weave it through their fingers or something. Like there's lots of different techniques. There's tons of different ways of doing it. But the basic concept is pendulum, and then you launch it, right? And then those are the two main techniques, and then there's others. There's like I've seen people do like this, like they'll go like this, right, and then they'll launch it like that. If it's a lower shot, sometimes you'll just like chuck it up there like a grenade or something. So those are the basic concepts of the technique, and I have some on film here that we can take a look at. Some of these are me and some of these are James. But I just want you got to wrap your head around like the pendulum motion. And then in terms of like getting better with Throwline, in my mind it comes down to three things. It would be consistency and practice, obviously, and visualization. So those three things are where I would start if I was trying to learn and trying to get better at Throwline. So in terms of consistency, the number one thing for me is experiment with different size throw balls and find the weight that you prefer to throw and just stick with that. Okay, so be consistent with the weight that you're throwing. I've always thrown a 10. I'm way better with a 10 for whatever reason. Tons of people throw 12, 14, 16. you can throw, there's lots of different options. There's even an 8 ounce. So there's a whole range of weights, and they will affect the way that you throw. So in terms of consistency, find the one that you prefer and just stick with it, right? And then the other thing I would say in terms of consistency is that technique, right? Experiment with different techniques. Try the two-handed granny throw. Try the one-handed throw. And once you'll probably get a feel for like which one feels more natural, which one seems easier to do for you, right? So just find the one that you like and then just stick with it. That would be my advice for someone just starting. Now I know I've talked to a lot of people who are like, well, in some situations I'll do two-handed, other situations I'll do one-handed, and that's amazing. But for a beginner, in my mind, I wouldn't recommend for a beginner to do it that way. I would recommend just stick with one technique and be consistent. Okay, so that's consistency, and then like visualization is incredibly important with Throwline. Like when I'm lining up to make a shot into a tree, I'm visualizing exactly what I'm aiming for, precisely what I'm aiming for, and I'm visualizing that throw ball going through. You know what I mean? It's a mind game. It really is. So visualization is super important, and then just practice. I mean, obviously, I remember it was like my 4th year as a professional tree climber is when I finally felt like I was half decent with Throwline. You know what I mean? So it takes a lot of practice. It takes a long time. But like at the end of the day, like I said, like setting lines from the ground is an incredibly important skill. So it's worth it to put the time and effort into getting good with Throwline, right? So I hope that helps. I hope you can get some value out of that. And hit me up in the comments. Let me know what I left out. And yeah, until next time, climb high, work smart, and read more. Patrick, out. Off the post every time.